Welcome to another episode of Failing My Way in Public to Success, the Mark Sclair podcast. You could have been anywhere else, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. So let's get started. Right, some of you are going to be very, very happy because it's raining this morning in Dubai. You're going to get out in the streets, you're going to start doing your dance, but don't dance too much because remember last time it flooded. So all this stuff you wished for and hoped for ended up flooding the streets, so just be careful, okay? Right, so I'm on the way to the beach because I'm getting my little walk steps in, dive into the sea, but I want to talk a little bit about my presentation last week. I was lucky enough to go on Saturday to Middlesex University and I got to present and speak to a group of Executive MBAs along with HR people which are doing their CIPD level 3. Now, I love this stuff, I really do. And the topic was about communication. So let's go back a little bit first of all to give us a bit of context. In December last year, I got the opportunity to host and be the MC for the CIPD gala dinner, the awards ceremony, recognising and acknowledging the people in HR that are not recognising it, not acknowledged enough really. So for me, I aligned with that very much. And I got to meet somebody there, hi Claudia, from Middlesex University, and she is one of the teachers there, and we got talking and we kind of exchanged details and everything, didn't think much of it. And then in January she reached out to me and said, Mark, we're looking to do, would you like to come in and speak to some of the students in regards to sales? Because the brief discussion that we had, for me, sales is the most important skill you can develop because it's not just about selling, it's about communicating, persuading, convincing, all of these things. And it's as important as knowing the actual product that you're talking about. So are you able to articulate and persuade people? And too many people are stuck behind keyboards and are not comfortable enough speaking in front of people. But she saw that me being on stage, and that's why it's so important to get out there and put yourself out there. She saw firsthand that I'm very comfortable doing that, communicating with people. So she knew that I already had the competency to be able to do it because again, what are the 5 things we all want to be? One of them is we don't want to make a mistake, okay? So her asking me to come into the school, if she'd never seen me speak or talk to anybody before, there's a big worry there. Rain is really starting to settle now, actually. She knew that she could trust me because she'd seen me do what I do. So understand that. There's always that disconnect. Even though somebody might want to work with you, there's this feeling of what if it doesn't happen and then I look bad. But I built that trust. So she asked me to come in and speak about sales and how that can help you with your career. Great. That's meant to be happening in April. But 2 weeks ago, she reached out to me and she said, Mark, we've got this Executive MBA course which we're doing and we're asking people to come in and speak about a certain topic. And what we're doing is we're doing like a Dragon's Den theme style, which is where people get up and they pitch their product and service, which was interesting because, and I said this to her, I said, look, I want to be upfront with you. I'm not this entrepreneur, even though I have my own business, I'm not this entrepreneur that would put myself out there and say that that's what I specialise in, but I can help in regards to communication, how to put your points across, how to communicate with people, how to persuade people. She said, yep, that's exactly what we want. We've got other people that are going to be talking about the pitching side. So I thought to myself, right, let's do this. And this was with a group of Executive MBAs. So these are people which are already in jobs and they're looking to develop, get another certificate. I'm against a little bit of that, but anyway. At least they're learning and developing, which is where growth takes place really. So we align with that. So now I had to come up with how this was going to be presented because I had 30 minutes to do it, 30 minutes. So you have that doubt, you have that worry, oh, these people are in real jobs, they're going to catch me out, it's going to be an issue, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. Does that go through your head? Yeah. It goes through my head constantly, every single day, and it can either get the best of you, or you can think to yourself, no, I can actually be of value to these people in some way. Just got to identify how I can be. I've got no doubt I'm a sales coach and I don't hide away from that, but this sales side is transferable into so many things. And that's the internal conversation that I have with myself, that maybe I shouldn't call myself the sales coach, or maybe I shouldn't call myself the sales trainer, because is it stopping me from winning opportunities? But then again, I had a company reach out to me last week and they specifically approached me because I'm a sales trainer. So still working on where I align with that. And somebody would say, well, you pitch yourself differently. But the trouble is, when you've got these platforms, you need to identify, you can't just be a generalist, because otherwise people just don't think that you can help them with that one thing. They just think, oh, he's a jack of all trades, and he's just trying to pitch himself with everything and just accept anything, really. And that couldn't be further from the truth. I turn down so many things because there's so many things I don't align with. Yeah, so we've decided now that I've got this 30-minute keynote presentation that I need to give. Still wasn't given too much information, so I asked Claudia, who's attending, what this is about, what the objectives are, what they're looking to achieve. And, bless her, she tried to give as much information as possible, but she was helping the school deliver this, so she was asked to kind of do it. So it wasn't really her thing. So still, there's a positive and a negative about that as well, because sometimes knowing too much can hold you back too much as well. Sometimes ignorance is bliss, and rather than listening to what other people want, you create what they actually need. Not everyone knows what they want. It's interesting about that. So I've been looking into what I should be doing, what I should be presenting, and I go on this journey of, I'm going to be speaking about communication. So on this journey of understanding more about communication, because I didn't just want my presentation to be about selling. A lot of the time that I deliver these keynotes or my training, it's always about, this is how you should sell here, this is how you should do that. But one thing that's really important to me when I do this is that I have to disarm the person, because I'm coming in there and they've been told to sit and listen to me. And what I always say is, you can be present, but it doesn't mean you're going to listen. You might be told you have to sit here, but it doesn't mean you're going to listen. So it's my duty to get people on board to actually listen. So I don't believe in getting up and saying, you need to do this, you need to do that. I need to get buy-in from those people. And I think that's one of my big strengths, is that I'm always trying to understand how the other person is feeling and how they want to be communicated with. But then I also think it's a big weakness of mine, because I do worry too much about how that person is feeling and how they want to be communicated with. So sometimes that holds me back. But that's my internal fears and doubts I always have. So that's a story for another time. So now I've decided I'm doing this communication, and I started, even though I've got this hours of content and this hours of information, thousands of pages of content which I've created myself, I like to listen and observe and think, well, yeah, let's apply that, let's do that. And I put into Spotify, I put communication skills, and Earl Nightingale came up, who is very much connected with Dale Carnegie, who's very much connected with Think and Grow Rich. And he did this 30-minute presentation on communication skills, how to reach your goals. So communication skills, how to reach your goals. And what I liked was something which I believe in so much, which is what I said before, which is getting people to buy into an idea of what you're doing. And it's by being humble at the beginning. And he speaks about this technique that Benjamin Franklin would use. And what he would start with, he says, I don't know if I'm right, but this is how I see it. And what that's doing is, you might think that's just another phrase or a sentence, but what it's doing is, it's giving that other person the room or the feeling of Benjamin Franklin was just not telling them that they're wrong and he is right, even though he feels that he's right and he's competent. And this is the big thing. People are going to tell you that they know what they're talking about, but what is their competency level actually right or like? So Benjamin Franklin would say, I'm not sure if I'm right about this, but this is how I see it. And then he backs it up with evidence. And this is where people get it wrong. They have the humility, and then they come back to people with how they see it, but they don't back it up with evidence. And that's where people cannot really argue about the matter. A lot of the time we're coming straight back with evidence, and this is where somebody would say, well, referring to the email that you sent and referring to the communication that we had, straight away people are guarded and they're going to be negative. Now, this whole thing is about making people feel that they are in control when really you are controlling the whole thing. And this is, I would say, like ethical manipulation. This is getting people to where they want to be, even though they might be holding it back against themselves. But if you're doing it in an ethical way, they will go on the journey with you. So I love what Benjamin Franklin says, which is, could be wrong about this. I might be wrong about this. And this gives these people this window where they're willing to listen to you because you're not just telling them. So with the slides and with my presentation, one thing which I put up on there straight away, and it's, let's go back a second, because I came into the room and they were already halfway through a session, and then Claudia introduced me and they gave me a round of applause. And I never thought about this, but I just said afterwards, I said, I hope I'm worthy enough to get that round of applause at the end as well. And that was a little bit funny. And that's where things just come natural a little bit to me. So you can think of, oh my God, I want to say this at the beginning. But sometimes in those moments, you end up coming up with something, and I'm proud that I'm able to do that. But practice is still really important. So I said, I already introduced me a little bit. And I said, look, I want to prove myself throughout this presentation, and I want to build trust with you, because I'm not here. I know that at this moment, you don't know me. Who am I to ask you to trust me? Who am I to tell you what to do? And the first slide I put up on the wall or on the presentation is, I am not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to support you in becoming the best version of yourself. Now, some of you are going to hear that and be like, oh, what a cheesy so-and-so. But what you have to understand is, those people are already, some of them are like, oh my God, there's a guy up on stage, he's a good looking guy, I'm gonna listen to what he's saying, like, all right, I've already got buy-in in that way. But majority of people got their arms crossed, they're guarded, and I have to be able to disarm them. And this is the same as when somebody asks, like, why should I buy from you? And a great response is, I'm not sure if you should. And what that does is that lets people's guards go down. But I wanna learn about you, I wanna understand more about you, and let's see if we can actually work together. Now, what the pushback I get with this is that somebody would say, well, you have to show you're the expert, and you have to show that you know what you're doing. And yeah, that's right. But there's no point getting up there and saying, I've done this and I've achieved this and I've made this happen. As I said, you'll get buy-in with some people, but most people are going to be very, very guarded. And the fact that I'm saying to people, I'm not here to tell you what to do, it lets their guard go down. Now, along the presentation, I used a lot of my own content, which is what I do. So I've got I've got thousands of hours of pieces of content, but it's kind of what can I compile into this 30 minutes? And what I spoke about is my favorite radio station, WIIFM. So if you're communicating with people, everything is based around their perspective. If they don't believe that you can be of value and you can get them what they want, and you're not able to demonstrate that and convey that, they switch off straight away. And that's why I say, you are here today because you think that I can do something for you. If you don't think I can, you're going to stay here, but you'll be switched off, and you'll probably go on your keyboards, on your laptop, on your phone, and you'll just completely disconnect. But if you feel that I can get you what you need, you are going to stick around, and that's great. And the fact that this has been going on for about 16 minutes, and you're still listening, maybe I've been able to help you in some way today. But what we have the storytelling, which I believe is extremely important as well. And you have to be engaging, you have to have the right tone. And this is something which I'm going to be saving for another time. But I was thinking to myself, like, what story could I tell? And the story that is really important to me and that resonates with a lot of people is the story of my niece and the bicycle. And what's really important to understand here, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, I'm going to save this for another story, but the emotion and how we go back to a certain point in time that relates to that story that I'm telling. So a bicycle story, what has that got to do with persuading someone and convincing someone? You have to think, people go back to that emotion, that point in time, and if you can connect with them, and that's why nostalgia is such a big thing. And that's why I love buying those old Game Boys and buying stuff from the 90s and listening to and watching movies from the 90s, because I go back to my childhood and those good moments and those points in my life. And maybe at that time I wasn't appreciative enough of those moments, but now I've got older and I can look back with fondness. I think to myself, yeah, I really love those moments and I want to experience those again, and now I have the money to do it. So the presentation went really, really well. There was a round of applause at the end, and as I said, I was hoping that they were going to do that. They gave me the applause at the beginning, and I think I earned it at the end. We had a bit of lunch afterwards, got to engage a bit more with people, learn a bit more about people. But, I didn't have to do this presentation. I wasn't paid to do this. And people will be like, well, why did you do it? Best way for me to get better at what I'm doing is by doing it. I can stay in my room, I can speak in front of the camera, but it's in those moments when there's a live performance going on, that is when you know that you're going to do good or you need to develop. And I tell you what happened. I came into the room and Claudia pretty much introduced me straight away, and I had to get the slides ready, had to get the presentation ready. They were still in the room. And what I forgot to do was I forgot to actually record the session. And this is a problem that I've done a few times. I've relied too much on others to get content, to get video. And I'd say probably 2 times out of all the times I've done it, I've actually got good content and good video. They had a media person that was meant to be filming it. They didn't film it. So I got some photos, but God, the classroom as well, it reminded me why I don't like being back at school. It was so miserable in that room. The fluorescent lighting, like how is people meant to feel good about being in a room like that? I don't even think it had windows actually as well. And this isn't me putting down the school, it's schools in general. I've not been into a school that actually makes you want to learn and develop in a classroom, because nothing, it's like it's duty to kind of make you not even, I guess it's a distraction to kind of look at other things, but the floors were grey. The lights were this fluorescent colour, which just is horrible. And yeah, so unless you've got somebody in there that's filming and then able to edit and do the good lighting, then it's no good. So yeah, I got some clips, but I should have posed myself and said to Claudia, where's the social media guy? Where are they doing this? They need to be here. So that is my lesson, which I need to keep on forgetting to do properly, because even the keynote I gave the other week, I've still not got the content back for it. Yeah. So if you've reached here this far, I appreciate you being here. You could have been anywhere else. And I need to finish off with, I think it's important to say, like, I love to hear and read comments. I want to get feedback from you. If you feel this has been useful, like, share and subscribe this, get this across the community. But as I always say, you could have been anywhere else, but you've been here with me, and I appreciate that. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you on the next one.